Do help us to subscribe and hit that notification bell to enjoy more stories. People say life has a way of coming full circle, but they never tell you how brutal that circle can be. 23 years ago, I held my newborn son in my arms and swore I'd never let him go. But life, no, greed, tore us apart. His father, a wealthy and ruthless man, decided a poor black waitress wasn't fit to raise a child with his last name. With lawyers, lies, and intimidation, he took my baby from me. I was young, powerless, and broke. And every day since, I've lived with a wound that never healed. Now, after decades of scraping by, working double shifts, and watching my dreams bleed away, I find myself standing in the VIP section of a luxury hotel, holding a tray of champagne flutes, staring into the face of the man my son has become. The perfect suit. The cold smile. The same storm grey eyes as his father. He didn't recognize me. But I recognized him instantly. And I wasn't about to let him walk away without hearing the truth. The words were out of my mouth before my mind could catch up. I'm your mother. For a moment, the entire world seemed to freeze. The clink of glasses, the hum of chatter, even the jazzy piano in the corner, all of it faded beneath the heavy, sharp silence between us. His brow furrowed slightly, but his lips curled with the kind of polite disinterest rich men learn in expensive boarding schools. "Excuse me," he said, glancing at my uniform like I'd just spat on his cufflinks. I tightened my grip on the tray to stop my hands from shaking. "You heard me. 23 years ago, your father took you from me. You were just a baby." He chuckled, cold, dismissive. "Lady, I think you're confusing me with someone else." "No," I said, my voice steady now. "I could never mistake you. You've got your father's arrogance, and my eyes." For the first time, his smirk faltered. That's when I knew I had struck a nerve. But I didn't come here for his sympathy. I came for answers. And if the son of a billionaire thought he could brush me off like some delusional stranger, he had another thing coming. Because the truth I carried could destroy the empire his father built, and I wasn't afraid to use it. He blinked, just once, but it was enough for me to see it, the flicker of uncertainty. It was the same look his father had the night I told him I was pregnant, before he replaced it with cold calculation. "I don't know what you think you're doing, my son," said, his voice low but sharp. "But this isn't the place for whatever game you're playing." "Oh, I'm not playing," I said, tilting my head. "You were born in Mercy General Hospital on a rainy night in March. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. You had a small birthmark right here," I gestured to the inside of my wrist. "It faded when you were a toddler. Your father told me they'd take good care of you. What he meant was they'd erase me from your life entirely." His jaw tightened, and I saw his fingers curl into a fist. "Stop." The music from the pianist drifted between us, but I could feel eyes turning toward our corner of the room. Billionaires' parties thrived on gossip, and we were about to give them a buffet. "You think I don't know the truth?" I leaned closer, keeping my voice calm but deliberate. "Your father paid the courts to say I was unfit. He painted me as some desperate waitress who couldn't even take care of herself. But what he never told you was why. And I'll bet he never told you where the necklace around your neck came from either." His hand instinctively went to the silver chain peeking from his shirt collar. That's when his eyes widened, just a fraction. He started, then stopped. "You've worn it your whole life," I said softly. "Because I put it around your neck before they took you from my arms. It's the only thing I had to give you. For a moment, neither of us breathed. Then his gaze darted across the room, landing on a tall, silver-haired man in a tailored suit, the man who had stolen everything from me. His father. And that's when I knew, the first crack had formed. The moment his father's eyes met mine across the glittering ballroom, I felt the years collapse in on me, 2 decades of rage, loss, and silence compressed into one breath. He moved toward us with the kind of confidence only men like him possessed, men who thought the world bent at their will. The crowd parted like water, murmuring, "What's going on here?" His voice was smooth, but his gaze was ice. He placed a firm hand on his son's shoulder, pulling him slightly back. "Why are you speaking to her?" "Her?" I repeated, a bitter smile curling my lips. "You mean the woman who carried your son for 9 months? The woman you left with nothing but a hospital bill and a broken heart?" His son stiffened beside him. "Dad," he said, voice cautious, she says she's my..." "She's lying," the billionaire snapped before his son could finish. "She's a bitter woman from a long time ago." "She..." "Stop," I cut in sharply, my voice slicing through his polished facade. "You can lie to him like you lied to the courts, but you can't change the facts." I reached into my small handbag and pulled out a folded, weathered photograph. My fingers trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of the moment. It was a picture of me in a faded hospital gown, cradling a newborn. The infant's tiny fist was clutching the same silver necklace now hanging at my son's chest. My own tear-streaked face was pressed to his head, as if trying to memorize the shape of him before they took him away. The billionaire's face went pale. His son looked at the photo, then at me, then at his father, his voice barely a whisper. "Dad, this is real, isn't it?" I could see the panic rise in the man who'd once ruined my life. But I wasn't done. "Tell him the rest," I said. "Tell him why you stole him from me. Tell him about the deal you made, the one worth millions, but only if you cleaned up your personal life. Tell him the price you put on my child's head." Silence. The party had stopped. Glasses of champagne were frozen mid-air. My son's eyes were no longer confused. They were furious. And I knew, finally, he wasn't looking at me like a stranger anymore. The air inside that ballroom shifted, thick, heavy, like the moment before a summer storm cracks the sky wide open. My son's hand tightened around the photograph, his knuckles whitening. "You lied to me my whole life," he said, his voice shaking but loud enough for the chandelier-lit room to hear. "You told me my mother was dead." The billionaire's jaw twitched. "This is not the place." "No," my son cut in, stepping forward. "This is exactly the place. You paraded me around like a trophy all these years, and now I find out you built your empire on lies, and on destroying her." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I could see investors, politicians, and socialites leaning in, phones discreetly raised to record. "Son," he said, trying to regain control, "these people don't understand our family." "Our family?" My son's voice cracked like a whip. "Our family is built on greed and betrayal. She's the only one here telling the truth." He turned to me then, eyes burning, chest rising and falling fast. "Tell me everything. All of it. Right now." I looked around the room. Every face was locked on me, some hungry for gossip, others bracing for scandal. I had kept my silence for 21 years. But tonight, with my son standing beside me, I wasn't afraid anymore. So I told them. I told them about the night he walked out, the forged documents, the hush money I refused, the custody battle I couldn't win because he had judges in his pocket. I told them about the necklace, how it was a gift I'd meant to give my son when he turned 18, only for it to vanish when he was taken. And then I told them about the clause in his billion-dollar deal. Remain a bachelor or marry into acceptable wealth, or lose the fortune. By the time I finished, you could hear the ice in the champagne melting. My son turned to his father, his voice low but sharp enough to cut glass. You disgust me. You'll never see me again, unless it's in court. The billionaire's mask slipped then. His hand trembled as he reached for his son, but my boy stepped back, closer to me. In that moment, I knew the tables had turned. For 21 years, he had the power. Now, I did. By morning, the video had gone viral. Someone, likely one of those well-dressed vultures in the ballroom, had uploaded the confrontation to every platform that existed. Headlines screamed. Billionaire exposed by secret ex-wife at gala. Hidden son's public outburst shakes Fortune 500 CEO. Luxury empire built on lies. By 9 a.m., the stock price of his flagship company was in free fall. By noon, his PR team was in full crisis mode. By sundown, sponsors were pulling out of deals they'd been fighting to win for years. I watched it unfold from my small kitchen table, sipping coffee that tasted sweeter than it ever had before. My phone buzzed nonstop with reporters, old friends, and people I didn't even know, all wanting the full story. My son sat across from me, scrolling through the chaos, shaking his head. He's trying to spin it. Says you're an emotional opportunist looking for money. I smirked. Let him talk. The truth is a wildfire. Once it starts, you can't contain it. He grinned. What's next? That was the part I'd been waiting for. Because I still had one final card to play. I reached into the old cedar box under my bed and pulled out the original contract from 21 years ago, the one his lawyers swore didn't exist. The one proving he'd manipulated custody, stolen assets, and blackmailed me into silence. Next, I said, sliding the papers toward my son, we burn his entire empire to the ground. The next morning, the documents were in the hands of federal investigators. And by that night, his name was trending again, this time with the word indictment attached. When I finally lay down in bed, I felt no guilt, no hesitation. He had built his kingdom on lies, and I had finally pulled out the foundation brick. Tomorrow, he'd wake up without his wealth, his power, or his spotless reputation. But me? I'd wake up with my son. And that was priceless. The courtroom was standing room only. Reporters jammed the aisles, cameras flashed in defiance of the judge's glares, and the air buzzed with the kind of collective hunger people get when they are about to witness the fall of a giant. He walked in last, flanked by two lawyers who looked like they hadn't slept in weeks. His tailored suit hung looser now, as if money no longer had the power to make him untouchable. For the first time in 2 decades, he looked small. The prosecutor's opening statement was merciless, laying out the fraud, the hidden accounts, the fabricated custody agreements. Every sentence hit him like a slap, and every slap made the gallery lean in closer. But the moment that sealed it wasn't about the money. It was when the judge allowed the playback of the gala video, me standing there, telling him in front of his son and half the city, "I'm your mother," and watching the raw, unedited panic on his face. I didn't look away. Neither did my son. When the verdict came, guilty on all counts, the crowd outside erupted. Reporters shoved microphones in my face, asking how I felt. I gave them the only answer that mattered. I feel free. As for him, they led him out in handcuffs, past the flashing bulbs, the shouting questions, the wall of noise. He didn't look at me, not once. I didn't need him to. Because the truth was no longer a secret. And secrets, once set free, have a way of finishing what they start.